You find something that works. The pain eases up. The stiffness calms down. And for a moment, you think, finally. Then, 3 weeks later, it's back again. Now, you're standing in another supplement aisle, looking at another bottle, wondering if this one finally will be the answer. I'm a licensed pharmacist with nearly 30 years of experience. And I need to tell you something most people were never taught. The problem was never that the supplement didn't work. The problem is that the environment inside the body never changed. Today, I'm going to show you why the pain keeps returning, what actually is driving it, and how to finally start addressing the root of that cycle. Hi, I'm Dee. I'm a pharmacist who spent nearly 3 decades inside conventional Western medicine, watching the same pattern repeat itself over and over again. The pain improves, the pain returns. Medication changes, supplement changes, and the cycle continues. Over the last several months, I also traveled through several cities in Asia, through Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, China, and even Thailand, studying how traditional medicine cultures approach chronic inflammation, chronic pain, and several chronic conditions. What I found completely changed how I think about aging, inflammation, and chronic diseases, generally speaking. And today, I want to share that framework with you. Let me guess your supplement history. Turmeric, fish oil, collagen probably, glucosamine, maybe even magnesium too. And to be fair, some of them do help or maybe did help, but then the pain slowly came back. So you increased the dose or you switched brands, you tried something stronger. Now, as a pharmacist, here's what I realized. Most anti-inflammatory supplements target only one pathway. Turmeric, for example, affects inflammatory enzyme activity. Fish oil helps shift the inflammatory balance. Glucosamine supports cartilage and joint structures. These are all legitimate claims. But chronic pain after 50, 60, 70, or as you get older, usually isn't driven by one isolated pathway anymore. It's driven by a full body inflammatory environment, a cascade. And if that environment never changes, the signal eventually returns every single time. That's why so many people feel stuck. They're treating the signal without changing the environment, creating that signal. And these are two completely different things. Let me explain this with a simple framework that I call the inflammation root cycle. There are 4 stages. Stage 1, the oxidative stress. Over time, stress accumulates from poor diet, chronic stress, inactivity, poor sleep, environmental exposure, and aging itself. Meanwhile, the body's own antioxidant defenses naturally simply declines with age. So, damage starts accumulating faster than the body can clear it. Stage 2, the inflammatory cascade. Inflammatory messages become more active. Things like TNF-alpha, IL-6, and IL-beta. These are part of the signaling process linked to pain, to stiffness, swelling, and tissue irritation. Stage 3, the signal. This is the part that you feel: joint pain, stiffness, fatigue, inflammation. So you take something and the signal quiets down temporarily. But then comes stage 4, reset. Because stage 1 was never addressed. The oxidative stress environment remained the same. So eventually, the cycle reactivates again and the signal returns. This is why so many people experience temporary relief without long-term change. And something really interesting hit me while walking through traditional herbal markets in several parts of Asia, like sometimes in Guangzhou, in China, Campo Pharmacist in Tokyo. Traditional systems rarely focused only on the pain itself. They looked at the inflammatory terrain first, the inflammatory environment, then the symptom second. That sequence matters way more than most people realize. So, what's actually driving stage 1 for most adults over 50, over 60, over 70? There are 3 major things. Driver number 1, accumulated oxidative damage. Every single day, your cells generate free radicals. Your body normally neutralizes them with internal antioxidant systems. But with aging, those systems become less efficient. Over time, the imbalance grows. Driver number 2, mitochondrial decline. Your mitochondria are your cellular energy engines. As they become less efficient with age, they can also generate more oxidative byproducts. That creates more inflammatory stress, which creates more signaling, which creates more pain. It just becomes a compounding cycle. Driver number 3, lymphatic stagnation. Your lymphatic system helps clear inflammatory waste products from tissues. But unlike your heart, the lymphatic system has no pump. It basically relies heavily on movement, walking, stretching, just basic daily activity. And as people become more sedentary over time, the drainage just slows down. Inflammatory waste accumulates. Tissues stay irritated longer, and the body struggles to fully calm that cycle down. Now, here's the important part. Most of these never shows up clearly on routine blood work. But that doesn't mean it isn't happening. So a quick side note. The Soursop tea bags I personally source and use, they're all linked below. I actually traveled to the farms that source the Soursop in Vietnam. I traveled there myself to verify the harvesting and the processing quality firsthand. If you've been ever curious about trying it, the link is in the description. So why Soursop specifically? Why has it become one of the plants, one of the herbs I keep coming back to over and over again? 3 reasons. Number 1, it has broad antioxidant activity. Soursop contains naturally occurring plant compounds that appear to interact across multiple oxidative stress pathways rather than just one isolated target. That matters a lot because chronic inflammation is rarely a one pathway problem. Reason number 2, mitochondrial support. Some of the plant compounds in Soursop have been studied for their interaction with mitochondrial energy pathways. And when mitochondrial stress is lower, the inflammatory environment often becomes easier to regulate. This is one reason many people describe a more sustained feeling of relief and calmness over time rather than that short-lived, quote-unquote, up and down effect they experience with other products. Reason number 3, sourcing matters way more than people realize. I traveled to the source of the Soursop that we get. I traveled to Bumantho in Vietnam. I walked the farms myself. I looked at the harvesting methods, the dry methods, preparation standards that we had laid down prior. And because with herbs, quality changes everything. Poorly processed leaves are not the same as properly harvested and properly dried leaves. And I say this all the time. And I refuse to recommend products I haven't personally verified myself. That's not how I operated as a regular conventional Western pharmacist. That's not how I operated as a traditional pharmacist. And it's not how I operate now, even when I'm recommending herbs and teaching about herbs. One thing I'll never forget was visiting Okinawa, especially Ogimi Village. Ogimi Village is one of the world's most famous longevity regions, one of the 5 blue zones in the world. What stood out wasn't some magical secret. It was consistency. It was the daily movements, the walking, the gardening, the stairs. Plant teas consumed regularly as part of daily life. A largely whole food diet with incredible plant diversity. They don't consume fish as much as you would think or expect, and far less chronic stress than what many Western adults experience daily. They didn't wait until the body completely broke down before supporting it. Their lifestyle continuously lowered that inflammatory burden over decades. That's the lesson. And honestly, it's never too late to start shifting in that direction. So here's your simple starting protocol. 3 things. Number 1, start with a daily anti-inflammatory tea routine. Consistency matters way more than intensity. If using soursop tea, give it some time. Think in terms of 60 to 90 days, not 1 week. Number 2, reduce inflammatory cooking oils, canola oil, soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, replacing those with olive oil, avocado oil, butter, or even coconut oil. It can significantly reduce inflammatory load over time. Number 3, move every day. Not one intense exercise. Movement, walking, stretching, ankle circles, gentle mobility. Your lymphatic system needs movement. Start small if you need to, but start. Everything I mentioned today is linked below. The soursop tea bags I personally source from the Vietnam farms and other parts of the world that featured in this video. And for those of you who want a simple reset plan, I also have my 3-day anti-inflammatory detox planner. It's also linked below. It walks you through exactly what you need to do, what to remove, what to eat, and how to begin lowering your inflammatory burden step by step. And if your blood sugar still hasn't responded the way you expected, despite medications, despite supplements, or even lifestyle changes, watch this next video. Because inflammation doesn't just affect pain, it affects metabolism too. Same roots, different problem. I'm Dee, your root cause pharmacist, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.